I had a client who revealed to me, confided in me that she had body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia, of course, is a mental illness that really results in someone heavily focusing on flaws that they perceive, not necessarily what everyone else perceives, but that they perceive about themselves. And it can be very much an obsessive, compulsive type of thinking about themselves. So this client, we began to discuss that, and there were definitely some I guess what we would call in gentle trauma release are some indicators that trauma could be present. Even though it's defined as body dysmorphia and a mental illness, there were still those indicators present that led me to believe that there may be something else here. So the biggest, I would have to say the biggest one for me was when this client said, I wasn't always like this. This really has only been since. And that's where we started. And we started to explore what actually was happening at that time. What happened that made you feel that I'm no longer like that anymore? What happened? And it was during that time that we were able to identify traumatic memories, events that occurred around that time that she started to have these obsessive thoughts and being excessively preoccupied is probably the word that comes to mind with what she perceived as her flaws. The other indicators that really helped me to identify that there really was trauma present was in gentle trauma release, we would say that to identify trauma, it would be memories that prove to be intrusive, that maybe are fragmented and vivid. And these were all present. All of these three aspects of her memories and her thoughts, all three of these were present. And it was also the emotional intensity. When these specific memories, and actually, when this client went back to that time, there were things that she was able to recall that she would not have been able to identify readily. It wasn't readily available to her when we first started talking. It was almost as if when we went back to that time, other things came up that she didn't she didn't remember had actually happened. So we were able to do the basic recipe, utilize the basic recipe to neutralize and clear those traumatic memories. We also did the emotional release recipe to help, to promote a calmness and to provide some relief from the emotional intensity that she was feeling. And also as a tool to kind of have in her pocket to deal with her emotions on a daily basis. We also worked with the Tame the Critic method and elicited those negative beliefs that she had about herself, and were able to turn them around. And in doing that, we were able to really bring her to a point where she could believe them, where she could look at them differently. and almost to the point where the beliefs just collapsed and were developed into much more healthier, um, beautiful, loving, and supportive beliefs. And another protocol that we utilized towards the end of our work together was the positivity recipe. And I'm happy to say that this client no longer has body dysmorphia. She has a very healthy body image. She even laughs now when she thinks about the thoughts that she had about her body and how intrusive they were and how vivid they were. She even laughs about that now and feels like it's almost like it was a movie. Before gentle trauma release, this client had a real perceived a part of her body as a huge flaw. And it was her legs. She felt her legs were too long. She used the word too skinny, and it looked awkward to her. She felt distorted, that the pieces didn't match up. The top didn't match with the bottom. It stood out. She was very active, and this was affecting her in those activities. At one point, she talks about how she loved Lululemon clothing and then refused outright to wear any of it when it came to the leggings and the shorts. She played many sports where the short shorts were what was worn, to the practices as well as to the games. It, sort of the uniform, and that felt horrible for her. She also, there were times when she would have to dress formally and wear a dress or skirt, and those times created very, very much anxiety and just devastation and sadness. She would, if there was an event coming up that she knew she would have to wear any of these sorts of things, she would be stressed, she would be anxious, she wouldn't sleep, she would detach, she would get very sad, then she'd beat up on herself, and then she would feel guilty about it. It was just this never-ending cycle, and it continuously repeated because there was always another event. Now she still plays all of the sports, but she's completely comfortable in those short shorts. She's back to loving her Lululemon leggings, and gets excited now whenever they launch new designs. It's actually, it wasn't that long ago, actually. It was just a few weeks ago that they had this event, and she's actually a school student. They had this event at school, a formal day, and she wore the dress that she wanted to wear, and she felt beautiful in it. She looked in the mirror, she was happy, she was excited. She doesn't see those flaws that she's seen before. She doesn't see any flaws. And she also doesn't have any obsessive thoughts. She doesn't feel like she's always having to think about the same thing, or that it keeps repeating, or that she has no control over when that thought starts and how to release it. She really, it's a huge difference. She's so very confident, and it's wonderful to see.